So the body is what's called an elemental, and nature is comprised of elementals: air, water, fire, earth, the minerals, the plant life, the animals. Basically, every physical thing in this plane is either an elemental or made from an elemental. And that includes our bodies. Our bodies are the physical portions of us that give us the ability to experience life in this form. So you might say our bodies are like our vehicles, right? Our vehicles for life. They allow us to move about and experience things. And they're designed with great, great intelligence. The body is really quite an amazing thing when you think about it. It's incredibly complex in its functioning. There are many different systems within it that are all working together to not only keep you alive, but also to give you great control over this vehicle so that you can do all kinds of things. So the interesting thing about elementals, and this goes for all elementals, is that they are designed to follow instruction. So if you think about nature for a minute, everything is busy growing. Everything is busy moving about. Everything is busy evolving. Everything is busy doing that which it is meant to do. And it's doing that through following instructions. So it's following the instructions of its genetics. It's following its DNA, its original blueprint. Or you could say, in a more shamanic sense, that everything is busy following the instructions of spirit, or the great intelligence of the universe. And this is true from the micro to the macro, right? Like the planets orbiting around the sun, etc. And when nature is left to its own devices, it does pretty well. Trees and plants are busy growing and following the seasons. Animals are doing their thing, reproducing, going about life. The weather is changing to support different environments on the land, bringing rain and snow and winds at different times. And mountains are busy growing, minerals are busy forming deep in the earth. And there's a natural set of checks and balances so that no one thing gets too out of control or takes over. And that goes for our own bodies as well. They're busy following instructions that for the most part, we don't even have to think about too much. Our heart beats, we breathe. For most of us, our senses are busy providing us information about our environment. We can easily move our bodies around without having to think about it, right? Like you want to lift your arm, you don't need to say or think arm lift. You just do it. And you don't think about the fact that you're actually instructing it to do that on some level. You're the master. We take that for granted, most of us, most of the time. So let's talk a little bit more about who we are. We are inhabiting these bodies that are elementals and following instructions, but we're unlike most of the other elementals on this planet because we're sentient. We're conscious beings. In other words, we're mini-me's of the Great Spirit or the Creator, which gives us the ability to give instructions to the elementals as well. That's one of our gifts as human beings, is the ability to do that, to instruct the elementals. And this, of course, is the basis behind the whole area of working with allies in shamanism, which if you want to go into more depth on, I suggest you take our Foundations of Shamanism course. It's a big subject in that. So most people don't consider this, but our bodies, each one of us, are our own primary ally. This body, this vehicle that each one of us is inhabiting, is our primary ally. And whether we are conscious of it or not, we're busy giving it instructions all the time. And it's busy following them because that's what elementals do. Now, the body wants to be healthy. It wants to feel good. That's its natural state. And that's how it's designed to be. But it is required to follow the instructions that it's given. And most of us don't take responsibility for those instructions because we're not aware of that relationship with our body as an ally, as an elemental. So the vast majority of the instructions are unconscious. And unfortunately, many of them are not very good. So just take a moment and think about what kinds of instructions you give your body on a regular basis. So how many of you say things or think things regularly like, I'm just so tired. I have this ache and pain over here, or I have this symptom here. Doesn't feel quite right. I'm worried about this little thing over here. Look at this little lump here. Or maybe I'm getting sick. Or you look in the mirror and you say, look at my nose. It's a little crooked and ugly. Or I just hate my hips. My hair is so ugly. I hate the way I look. Or I'm fat and I hate how fat I am. Or we get mad at our bodies, right? Like, why can't you just be this way instead of that way? Or you get pissed off that you get sick, or you have allergies, or you can't lose weight, or whatever it is. And you just want your body to fix itself, but you're frustrated, and you're coming from a place of anger. And by the way, worry about things that are not true and not actually happening, but you're worried that they might, also goes into the category of instruction. So worrying that you might get cancer, that you might get sick, that you could fall and break a bone, even though none of these things have actually happened, your body starts to receive all that obsession. And the body doesn't differentiate between what you want and what you don't want to happen. It just hears it all as instruction. So think about all this input that the body is potentially getting that's not supporting health. And the body is doing its very best to follow instructions, even when those instructions don't make it feel good. So on the one hand, it's following the instructions of this is how you're meant to be and function from the original blueprint, the instructions of spirit. And those instructions are getting mixed and taken over by all the other bullshit we're busy telling ourselves. That it's very confusing to the body, the elemental that is the body.